The Texas Education Agency says there's got to be a new tracking system to monitor and report positive COVID-19 cases in our schools across the state. The TEA saying they're partnering with the state health department on a new system to track coronavirus cases across public schools in Texas. Officials with TEA said school systems will report cases to DSHS and in turn will publicly report data on cases and outbreaks in schools starting in September. The TEA releasing this statement in part saying having this knowledge and being able to publicly share the accumulated case totals from schools in a single place covering the entire state of Texas will help us to further support the health and safety of all Texans. Our local American Federation of Teachers Union President Nancy Vera says that she isn't impressed by today's announcement.
Now they're going to track the number of COVID cases and the number of children who have. So what? The fact of the matter is, are we going to sacrifice another life just because we simply want to open the schools? I don't think so.
Dr. Vera believes school districts are not prepared to accept kids back into our schools for in-person classes. She claims that we don't have the equipment, supplies, or guidance from the Texas Education Agency to safely reopen to students. The new reporting system will begin in September, when many school districts will begin to allow students to return to the classroom. Right now, CCISD is set to open its doors to students September the 8th.